Our new Chicago mayor is committed to more affordable housing. So I just want to suggest that he start with the low-hanging fruit by looking at some simple changes to our zoning code, because these can be done with zero cost. For example, in many of our neighborhoods, the side streets have what's called RS3 single-family zoning. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, our Chicago Zoning Ordinance spells out what is allowed to be built on any given lot. Now, in RS3 zones, on a standard 25-foot by 125-foot lot, the code allows a maximum two-story house with a basement. And it will be allowed to have approximately 1,400 square feet per floor. This allowed footprint could easily be divided into 2 or 3 units, except that our current zoning code also dictates a 2,500 square foot minimum lot area per dwelling unit. This means that on a standard size lot, which is about 3,000 square feet or a little bit more, you can only build one unit. In this case, it could only be a single family home with up to about 4,200 square feet of living space, including a finished basement level. Now, if not for this 2,500 square foot minimum lot area requirement, a builder could build a nice 2 or 3 unit property in that same footprint. And these 2 and 3 unit buildings have always been popular as owner occupied properties, and they're a staple of our Chicago neighborhoods. They allowed their owners to build equity and provide reasonably priced rental housing for the community. Builders would build more new buildings like these if it was allowed by our zoning code, but instead the city is focused on a very limited accessory dwelling unit or ADU program to add much less desirable units to basements and attics of older homes. While the current code makes it impossible to build new construction 2 flats in our RS3 districts where most of our older 2 flats already exist. We need new housing stock to replace outdated buildings, but according to the new ADU code, only older buildings are eligible to add ADUs to attics and basements. So many of these are 100 plus years old and are far past their useful life expectancy. This means that any ADU units that are added, they just aren't going to compare favorably with a new construction unit. So the code, in effect, encourages adding units to outdated buildings, but doesn't allow new units to be built to today's standards. Adding AD units can be a smart way to provide additional affordable housing and multi-generational living, but we need to be careful not to write the code in such a way that it encourages owners to squeeze more income out of properties that have exceeded their functional life. Not only that, but many of our existing Chicago 2 flats are in these RS3 districts, and under the existing code, these properties are considered non-conforming, even though these buildings are often much better suited to adding a unit than most single-family homes would be. And in fact, many of them already have these non-conforming units. So just by changing this minimum lot area per dwelling unit requirement in RS3 districts from 2,500 square feet to maybe 1,000 or 1,500 square feet, it would immediately allow existing 2 flats to conform to the code, and it would allow builders to build new construction 2 or 3 unit buildings in these neighborhoods that would be within the same size as what is required right now. And this would help supply more quality, affordable units at zero cost to the city. But instead, our current zoning code restricts builders to building only large single-family homes in these RS3 districts. And then people wonder why they're being priced out of these popular neighborhoods.